everybody, welcome back to the channel. Okay, so here we go. Today we're going to talk about the my thoughts about what I was hearing in the room with the 3 tracks, and I'll give you the results of the Pick Your Footers challenge. So you guys love these kind of things, so I intend to keep doing them. So there'll be more of this sort of thing to come. I've got an update on a few bits and pieces to talk to you about at the end of the video as well. But let's get into it. Okay, so track 1 was No Time to Die by Billie Eilish, which is the last Bond title track. So the results for that video and those songs was track 1 was the ISOACOUSTICS footers, and track 2 was the Stack Audio footers in place. So I'll talk to you a little bit about what I was hearing in the room with that track. So on the Billie Eilish vocal, there's a lot of, it's very mid-range centric, her vocal on that track, and there's almost a quivering in her voice when she sings on that track. And with the Stack footers, you got more of the micro detail in the way she was actually phrasing the vocal in that track. It was very clearly defined with the Stack footers. It was still good. Now, there wasn't a huge amount of difference in that particular part of the song, but that vocal was definitely clearer and more defined with the Stack footers in place. That track also has a lot of bloomy bass. It's actually in the recording. If you hear that at all in any room, it has a big build up and bloom. It's a very much an 80 hertz bloom, which is the weak frequency in my room. 80 hertz really excites my room more than any other frequency I've got to deal with in this room. So because that was the case, and I played that track for a certain reason, because when I played that track originally with the spikes on the Wilsons, it was almost unlistenable in my room at any kind of volume anyway. It was just too much, too thick, too muddy, too overwhelming of the space I have in this room. When I first played that track after I screwed the ISOACOUSTICS footers in when I bought those, I could not believe how much better the lower octave was sounding with the ISOACOUSTIC footers in place. It got in and out a lot more quickly, even though it's a floating, bassy, almost sounds like that's been recorded in a tunnel or something, that track. It had more definition, and it didn't overcome the room space and just keep building on itself and propagating in the corners of the rooms. But with the Stack footers in place, wow. It was, and that was the thing I think most of you heard in your comments. There seemed to be a clear winner here too. I'll talk further about that at the end, but a lot of you were commenting on how much better the bass sounded in that on track 2, which was the Stack footers. And in the room, most definitely there was a real articulation of that bass. The problems that were there weren't not there anymore. There was maybe a 10 or 15% better articulation of that bass lower octave with the Stack footers as opposed to the ISOACOUSTICS. Both were good. Both made a very, very big difference over the original Wilson spikes. But there was just a further enhancement of that, of literally listening to the speaker with the Stack footers in place. So they were the sorts of things I noticed. I'm just going through my notes here just to make sure that I get everything covered. Yeah, there was just more spatial information and more clearly defined in that track with the Stack footers in my room. They just do everything better than the ISOACOUSTICS did on that track. There is no doubt about it. There was quite a decent delta, and a lot of you definitely noticed one thing or the other. So it's up to you what you like and don't like, because there's no wrong answers here, but there is a sound you were picking up on, and you seem to be favouring the Stack footers fairly overwhelmingly on that track. if I go back and look at them. So that's my best way of describing what I was hearing in the room here. Everything just cleans up better with the stack footers in place. There's just no problem areas, no problem frequencies. The articulation and soundstage and placement is just, again, completely changed from the original spikes to the isoacoustic footers to the stack. There's just been a refinement in each of those steps. I've had Townsend platforms. I've had grounding spikes of different variations under my Wilsons over the years. Nothing's even come close to being as good as the Wilsons are now with the stack footers in place. They are certainly another level over everything else I've tried by quite a way. So that would be track 1 out of the way. Now track 2 was IOU by Caroline No. So I love this album. It's a beautifully engineered recorded album. It's only 44.1. When I say only, it's one of the best sounding 44.1 recordings that I've heard. It's just, a lot of people talk about, higher res makes for, for a better sound reproduction. It's not the case. As a sound engineer, if we get the engineering aspect of things really, really right, then we can make 44.1 sound amazing if it's done properly. And on this particular album, it's been beautifully recorded. I know the engineer. I'm familiar with his work, and everything he touches is gold, absolutely gold. And this is absolutely the case here with this album. If you haven't heard it, I suggest you stream it. It's stunning, streamed on Qobuz. So results for that track. It was a short, sharp track, but I played it because it also helped, I hope helped you guys define the differences between the two footers. So on track 1, it was the reverse of the first song. So we played the stack audio footers as the first version of that song, and the ISOACOUSTICS was the second track on that one. So some of the things I noticed on this track, there was a steel guitar being played in it, and the definition and the metallic sound that you should hear on that instrument was clearly better defined for me in the room with the stack footers in place. It just was that a little bit more muddier with the ISOACOUSTICS. Now again, it's about a 15% difference in the, and that's a substantial amount when you're at the level I'm at with my equipment. So to get that kind of improvement has knocked my socks clear off my feet, because it really, really is a very, very noticeable difference across all the frequency spectrums. I didn't expect to get so much improvement in the mid-range and the upper frequencies with these footers as I'm getting. Good footers do a wonderful job with bass. They really clean your bass up, and there's a marked difference in the bass with the stack footers in, even over it's a 20+% improvement over the ISOACOUSTICS in the room to my ears with the lower octave. But all of the rest of it is also in that 10 to 15% improvement over the ISOACOUSTICS. So in that steel guitar, literally the strumming of the strings has a much more clearly metallic definition about it, which was not quite there in the room. And I know you guys said this one was harder to pick, and I wasn't going to make it easy for every track. I wanted you to really listen, get your headphones on, get your buds in, and really listen into the music and see if you could pick up the little nuance. They were there. I played everything back and listened to them myself on my headphones, and I could clearly hear the things I was hearing in the room. I guess it makes it easy for me because I can then just revert back to the room as my reference and go, yeah. But I picked tracks I thought you'd be able to really hear a difference in. You can really hear a difference with these stacked footers with every piece of music you play. There's not been anything that I haven't felt has been enhanced in the sense of being more real to the recording with the stack footers in place. But the slide guitar work in the background of that track, much more clearly defined in the room with that, as opposed to the isoacoustic footers. You really could hear the pipe on the fret of the guitar into the recording. A beautiful recording. This, as I said, this guy really knows how to engineer an album, and so everything was correct and right as you would hear it if you heard it live. One of the reasons it's one of my reference recordings. I play it on everything I listen to, just because I know that whole album really well. So yeah, there was that real definition of the pipe work on the fret with the sliding that was going on there in the background behind the actual guitar work. So I hope you picked that up. It is definitely there. It was definitely an improvement over the ISOACOUSTICS. So that's probably the best way to describe what I heard in the room on track 2. Now track 3 was an old Ferris Bueller's Day Off track that I just had to play. Took me back to my youth. So it was Oh Yeah by Yellow. Now Yellow, you can just about close your eyes, spin around and point a finger at a track, and you're going to get something amazing from them, from a recording perspective and an engineering perspective. This is an updated, I think it's a 2009 remake of that track, which I really like, and it's not too long, so it's easy for you guys to do some comparing, and that's why I picked it. So on this one, the first track you heard was the ISOACOUSTICS footers, and the second track was the Stack Audio footers. Again, on all of these videos, there seemed to be a clear winner here. You were all picking the Stack Audio footers as something you preferred. So go back, check your results now that what you picked if you can't remember. But most of you picked the Stack footers, and heck, I've got my hand up. They're not coming out from underneath my speakers. They are my new reference, without a doubt. So I just can't get out of the room, to be perfectly honest. When I get my Wilsons in here, I just absolutely love it, and so much so that the speakers you've been seeing in the shorts, I'll be talking further about those, and I'll be launching a series on the build of these speakers. That's coming very soon. I've got a ton of footage I've shot to shoot, so there'll be a lot of episodes of literally from the very beginning when these turned up from Germany in a flat pack, all the way through to what you see before you now, which is an absolute world-class speaker system. These things are stunning. They have had a real improvement with the new baffle, but I'll go further into that down the track. But these speakers behind me are going to also have a platform built for them, Paul's organising, and we're going to put AUVA 70s speaker isolation underneath a platform that the bass unit and then the bridge will sit on top of. So again, I think there's going to be a great improvement. I know that Siegfried Linkwitz liked to use the floor and get floor interaction. There is ample amounts of bass in here on the floor in this room. If we lose a little bit of that attenuation to pick up some more tightness in the bass, I think that is a very, very happy compromise to make. So it will be a platform. It won't be anything that's built into the system so that it can come in and go out. And we'll certainly be doing some testing. When I get all this up to Paul's in northern New South Wales, I will be filming quite a bit. You'll be meeting Paul on the videos. You'll be seeing the room set up for the final time at his place. All of what I do, hopefully we can capture all of that, how I voice a room and set a sound system up. Might be great for you guys to see how I do things like that and how I get the best results in a room for people I do this for. And we'll do some testing with the AUVA 70s on and off, and I'm expecting a quite a substantial improvement using them. So that's coming. Stay tuned for that. That's on the way. So on this particular track, back to this. Sorry, I digressed. The vocal on this track is a really deep, almost a robot kind of a vocal sound. And some people thought that the mic was clipping. Now, I went back and checked that, and I always check them before I release them anyway, and there was no clipping of the microphone. That's just how it sounds on the track. It's got a real, almost sharp, bassy raspiness to the oh yeahs that are said, and it's a very deep. So you know, obviously it's easy to overwhelm a microphone pretty quickly, but that wasn't the case. I checked everything, and I was certainly nowhere near clipping the microphone. I mean, that microphone won't clip until it's near 120 dB, and I don't play anything like that in this room. So absolutely no chance of that happening. But on the with the stack footers in place there, I was getting a much more of the raspiness in the voice. So I was hearing all of the way that voice sounded. It was like hearing it for the first time, because I hadn't really picked up that that's how they recorded that until I listened to it on the stack footers. And it was like, and I actually just played it again here not so long ago on these, and they do the same thing. They really articulate the sharpness in the raspiness of that bassy vocal in that track. And so that was happening. It was more clearly defined with the stack footers in place. There's a lot of channel separation on this track and stuff going left to right. Both of the footers did a great job at that. I really couldn't pick much, if any, difference in relation to that between the stack footers and the ISOACOUSTIC footers. How the engineers spaced the soundstage out is much more clearly defined with the stack footers in place. There's just more air around everything, more air around the players or the instruments that are being recorded. There's no doubt about it. It's just much more clearly defined, engineering going on, because you can hear it all coming out. I'm going to talk a bit further about this now, and it's the reason around the speaker isolation and why it works so well, because it relies on two things. It relies on particle dampening technology, which is in the top of the speaker footer and all these component footers. But the difference here is that it is also spiked, which means, and this is what people maybe don't quite understand, and I want to make sure you do understand it, and that is the front baffle of a speaker is extremely important that it doesn't move. If it moves at all, now when a driver moves in and out, it flexes the cabinetry, no matter, even Wilson's mine at 116 kilos and bigger models of that get even heavier again. The driver will move the front baffle, even if it's microns. What your ears, as sensitive as our ears are, and they are amazingly sensitive instruments, what your ear perceives is a blurring of the soundstage. So what Theo from Stack Audio has done here is he has created particle dampening technology in the top of the footer to isolate any floor interaction and any anything coming in or going into the speaker or going into the floor. And he's also spiked each footer so that the speaker literally cannot move. It sits like a spike does. But the thing with the spike is it's a two-way, it's a highway. So vibration from your floor can get up into the cabinet to blur things, and resonances from the cabinet get down into the floor. And this is where we also mask the imaging and the soundstage properties of the recording and of our equipment. What Theo has done is combined the best of both worlds. So we've got a grounding spike, 3 of them in each footer, that holds the speaker absolutely in place. And then we've got this IP in the particle dampening technology that he uses that absolutely, completely, better than anything else I've ever tried, isolates any resonances from getting up into the speaker or down into the floor. And that's why you hear a much cleaner soundstage with those footers in place. That's why the bass tightens up, because the cabinet isn't moving and all you're hearing is the sound pressure that's provided by the bass driving units. They push that sound out. And I think on the first reaction video, I described a percussive bass that was literally hitting me, and it was exhilarating. I mean, I hope you saw it on the video. I was so excited because it was like being at a live show. My system had come alive. That recording sounded absolutely alive, and that's the sort of thing that gets us audiophiles absolutely, weak at the knees over stuff like that. And that's exactly what I'm getting now from the Wilsons. I hope I never get used to that, because I love it exciting me like it does. And every time I come in here and put it on, that's what I get. I believe I'll get the same thing happening here with the Linkwitz LX521s. up in Paul's room. So that's all coming, but there you go. That's the results, and they're the sorts of things that I noticed in the room here while listening to the tracks. The AUVA 100s are an absolute thumbs up from me, 100%. These things are amazing. Do yourself a favor, go and audition them somewhere. Come and listen to them. You must hear how good these are. These literally are the best footers I have ever heard. In my 35 years of fiddling around with high-end audio, nothing has come close to doing what this stuff's doing that Theo has invented. It's bloody cheap for considering what you're getting for your money. The sort of outlay versus the improvement makes them absolutely clearly value for money for me. I mean, everybody's got a budget. I really do understand that. But if you're in this end of the pool and you're swimming around with these sorts of components, you are doing yourself a massive disjustice if you don't at least audition these. Try them. Reach out to Josh at Stack Audio. They'll send you some out. They'll allow you to try them. They offer a money-back guarantee. But I guarantee you, last time I spoke to Josh, they just don't get them back. People put them underneath their system. That's why they can offer that. I mean, I'm sure they'll honour it, but they're just that good. But everything that I've tried. So you might see behind you here a couple of pieces of timber. Let me grab one. Oh, they're heavy. So this is hardwood board, and what these are going to do is they're going underneath my Vitus monoblock amplifiers. They're about 5 kilos each of these boards. They're really quite heavy. And what's coming from Stack Audio, because I've ordered them, I've ordered EQ footers for everything in my system. I've just placed a large order to get everything over here. So these are going down underneath my Vitus monoblocks. 6 CSA3 AUVA EQs are going 3 down either side of my 85 kilo amplifiers, and we're putting them underneath the Vitus preamplifier. Everything, my phono stage, I've bought enough of them to go under every single thing in my system. And we're going to do videos on this. You're going to hear them in, you're going to hear them out. We might do some blind testing. I'll talk to you further about what I'm hearing when I do get them all over here. So stay tuned for that, because that's coming on the channel. But the next few things that we're going to be doing is we're going to start doing some build videos on the Linkwitz LX521 system, so that you guys get a full understanding of what has gone into nearly 12 months of work to put this system together for Paul. So it's all happening shortly, and then very shortly, within I think the next week or 2 weeks or so, I'll be heading up to New South Wales to deliver this system, and then all of those videos will follow. So thanks very much for watching. I know this one was a fairly long-winded video, but I wanted to explain to you exactly what was going on the channel, what I was hearing in the room here. Essentially, it was what you guys were hearing through your playback systems, overwhelmingly so. You picked the Stack Audio footers over the ISOACOUSTIC footers. So thanks for that. I really love doing this kind of thing. If you haven't liked, please like the video. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. I really want to build this, and it helps the channel. It helps the channel grow, which helps me to be able to bring you more of this kind of content. So please, if you haven't subscribed, consider doing so. And until we meet again, it's bye for now.